I don't know who was supposed to start, but I guess I will.
I mean, you are El Jefe, so.
I mean, that's fair. This is going to be an interesting situation. But hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to a very special live rendition of. It's going to be a mouthful, but we have the cleanup crew and the Collision Collective crew together to do a double trouble recap of AEW Rampage and AEW Collision that has taken place Friday, July 5th and Saturday, July 6th. I am one of your hosts, well, the Collision host, El Jefe Mikey, and I got everybody who does the shows with me tonight. First and foremost, you can find him on the CML, not need him. And, there's also some beef happening within the BC WrestlePod verse that has come to light. But El Buntador, welcome, my friend.
Buenos dias. Buenas noches, mi gente. Happy to be here. I will not speak of the beef now. We'll talk about that at another time.
And of course, joining us as always too from the Cleanup Crew Review. You know her, you love her. She is fantastic. Alice is in the house. Just Alice tonight.
Just Alice. Happy to be here.
Yes, we are happy to have you here tonight as well. So we got a lot to get through. We have 2 shows to cover. So I am going to turn this over to El Buntador for Rampage, and then we'll so we're going to first go through Rampage, then we'll go through Collision, and then we'll call it a happy evening. So El Buntador, go ahead and take it away, my friend. Where do we start with Rampage?
Okay. Totally catching me off guard. Give me 1 second to pull up the ticket for Rampage. But Rampage happened. It was the beach break weekend. Give me 1 second. Hang on. I wasn't prepared. We need to do this.
Right. So when we were like, are we all ready? And you were like, yeah, I'm ready. This was definitely not part of it.
Yeah. And it happened on the 4th of July too, so
No, it did not.
No, it happened on the 5th of
It
July.
happened on the 5th of July.
We're off to a great start.
This is amazing.
Nah, it's all good.
Come on, internet. All right, so starting off. So the first match of the night was Rush versus Commander. 2 luchadors going at it. And, Rush is in a very interesting situation because he is being courted right now by the Don Callis family. Alice, what did you think of the match overall? And then what do you think about Rush and this Don Callis situation?
So Roosh matches a lot of the time have kind of been squash matches. They're trying to build up how ruthless and angry he is, which I think is fair. But it does get a little predictable at times. I thought this match was very exciting, though. I thought Commander really made it very exciting to watch. And it was very interesting to see the different styles with Commander being like high flying and Rush definitely being very grounded, very sort of channeling the Blanco Toro, right? Like definitely there in his style. And at the beginning of the match, I was not aware that they were being courted. I thought he was kind of trying to impress the Don by leaving a sacrifice at his feet, if you will, which I thought was very, very interesting. And I wasn't sure if he'd caught his attention yet. I did find out later that he does have his attention. So that's kind of, I like that a lot because I think a lot of the time Don Callis goes after people and like targets them and whittles them down. And I think that it's interesting that Rush is kind of was looking for his attention, and now they're sort of entering this discussion, this courtship. Like,
Right. Mikey, so what did you think about Rouge Commander and this and Rouge being courted by Don Callis?
So I thought the match itself was decent enough. I will never complain anytime I get Rouge or Commander on my television screen, to be perfectly honest. I do feel that for the story we're trying to tell with Rouge, though, I feel that if he's going to be posed as this brutal powerhouse, I think that maybe you have him beat his opponents in maybe like 7 minutes or less, because this went about 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And especially if he's going to be the brute force for the Don Callis family, I think it would help in the storytelling if Rouge would have beat Commander like 6-7 minutes. I will say, though, I did enjoy the match for what it was. Hopefully that we start to get more of Rouge officially into the Don Callis family, because we got a couple weeks ago before Forbidden Door, we're like, okay, we got the seeds. And then we've been kind of waiting for the next part of the story. And now that Forbidden Door is over, we can get to there, because Rouge was not allowed at Forbidden Door because of AAA and CMLL beef, which was weird, though, because of what happened on Zero Hour. But regardless, I thought the match was great, though I'm hoping that every Rouge match after this, we have him just squash people in a timely manner.
All right. Okay. A really quick side question. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but if Rouge fully joins the Don Callis family, is he going to be the power, or is Takeshita still going to be the power? Because right now, Takeshita is kind of like the muscle in the Don Callis family. But when Rouge joins, do we think that there's going to be a power shift? Do we think that they're going to be too muscle? Do you think they're going to play nice with each other? Alice, what do you think?
I don't think they would play nice with each other. Just no. But I think Takeshita is the muscle. Like, he's the power of the Don Callis family, and I think adding Rouge would create. I think it would create a little tension between the two. Sort of being like, the old staple, and then like this fresh new person. Like, ugh, what are you doing here? I think that would potentially be interesting to watch.
Mikey, what do you think?
I honestly think Rouge is going to be the stand-in, because even though Takeshita is a powerhouse, we need like a typical brutal powerhouse. And since, Powerhouse Hobbs is out with injury,
Yeah.
I unfortunately think Rouge is just here until
I forgot
Hobbs
about
comes back.
Hobbs.
Or even if we put Hobbs back with them, because once Hobbs is ready to come back, who knows where we'll be with all these storylines. But
Yeah.
Takeshita is your brutal fighter, but we need a powerhouse, and I think Rouge fits that better than Takeshita.
All right. So then our next match of the night, speaking of the Don Callis family, we had Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita facing off against Private Party. So let's start with you, Mikey. How did you like the match? What did you think? And do we think that this plays into the initial drama that's going to happen with Ospreay leaving the Don Callis family and Kyle Fletcher having to make a choice?
As far as the match goes itself, I actually really enjoyed this match. I like seeing Kyle and Takeshita team up. I think that they are a phenomenal team, because both of them are phenomenal talents. As soon as I saw this on the paper, I was like, well, I love you, Private Party, but we know where this is going. So
Fair.
I will say this is an interesting thing, because I'm hoping this isn't the case, but I can already see the writing is on the wall, and I can see that we may run into some problems, because we have Ospreay, who has technically left the family, and Don Callis gave him the okay, which we know that's going to come around and bite him in the butt later. But we also have Will going up against, MJF as well, with everything that's been going on the last couple of weeks. So Will is kind of being pulled into two different directions and two different stories. Hopefully there'll be some sort of payout eventually, but I'm afraid that I can already start seeing signs that we just got to placate the Dog Cows family until we get to when we want to pull the trigger on it. So hopefully it doesn't take too long. But as far as the match itself goes, I actually enjoyed this match. It's fun to see all four of these individuals in the ring. Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita can do no wrong in my eyes.
And Alice, down to you. What were your general thoughts of the match? And with the ending being what it was, do you think that this builds on that, the Kyle Fletcher having to make a choice between the Don Callis family and Will Ospreay when that happens?
I love Private Party. I love them so much. I was really rooting for them. I knew, like El Jefe said, that once I saw the writing, I'm like, all right, well, I know who's winning. But it was still really fun to watch. I loved all four of them in the ring. They were so much fun. There were lots of really cool moves. I think you said it was called the silly string that
So,
that
yep.
Private Party did was
Yep.
fantastic. I loved that. And so of course we had Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher winning at the end of this match. I don't know. So Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay are very good friends. They're very close. I think the reason they had Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita together was to sort of build up their relationship, with Will Ospreay leaving to give Kyle Fletcher a reason to stay. I think we may see some emotions right when it's like official and Will Ospreay leaves for good. But I don't I think Kyle Fletcher would stay in the Don Callis family, but I think it's important to see Takeshita and Fletcher together to flesh that out to give him a solid reason to stay.
Okay. All right. And another really quick sidebar. I did not know that the thing that's written on Kyle Fletcher's butt is Protostar. I didn't
That
catch
was a
that.
word?
That's the
There
word.
was a word on his butt?
Yes. It's
I thought it was just
Protostar.
lines.
Right,
I'm like, what a cool
graphics.
decoration. Wow.
Yeah.
Since winning the television championship and going on the singles run, that's been his moniker since Final Battle, which was back in December.
Couldn't read the tights.
Oh my God.
So our next match of the night saw Kyle O'Reilly facing off against grade point average GPA. It was a squash match. The real story in this was that the United Kingdom and Roddy Strong came out and they sat at commentary. And Roddy's feeling some ways. He's feeling a little hurt that his friend isn't coming over to that Undisputed Kingdom side. Yes, I say United Kingdom, it's Undisputed Kingdom. I caught myself there. But let's start with you, Alice. What did we think of this squash match and what happened afterwards?
The squash match, it was so short. I didn't even understand what was happening until it was over. Hooray! Good job, I guess. And then, are they even friends? I disagree with your word, friends, because he comes in to try to talk to them, and Kyle O'Reilly's like, I'm out. I don't even want to be a part of this. Bye, and just leaves. It happened so fast. I feel like I understand that the point is he doesn't want to be involved with the Undisputed Kingdom, but I think because it happened so fast and he didn't even say a word to them, or that was kind of lost.
Right. Okay. Fair. Mikey, Kyle O'Reilly in a squash match, and then Roddy Strong. What do you think?
Well, how do I put this nicely? It seems that we kind of are trying to figure out what to do with Kyle. I mean, they keep teasing this whole thing with the Undisputed Kingdom and him. Will he join them? Will he won't? Right now, it seems that he's found his stride, in which I love the conglomeration of him, Mark Briscoe. and Orange Cassidy. I would love for them to be a trio. But again, we since Dynasty and after Kyle failed to beat Roddy for the International Championship, which was a great match, since April, we've kind of just been like, all right, let's get him on television and we'll figure out where we're going to put him. He's had really great matches. His match against Osprey for the International Championship on Collision a couple weeks ago was fantastic. And he has solid matches. He's a good worker. We just need to figure out a good storyline to put him in because he's kind of just a floater around. And that's kind of what happens when you have such a big roster. Everyone's kind of just floating around at the moment.
Yeah, definitely feels like they're trying to figure out where Kyle O'Reilly is going to fit in. But yeah, it was a squash match. Kyle O'Reilly gets the win, and he blows off the Undisputed Kingdom, which brings us to our final match of the night, which was a match that actually not only Alice but Mikey and me were looking forward to, was Mariah May versus Hikaru Shida in the semifinal of the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. So let's start with you, Mikey. Your thoughts on the match, and coming now that we're on the other side, do you believe that Mariah May could beat Hikaru Shida?
So let's be all the way honest with ourselves here. AEW hasn't exactly been hiding the fact that this Owen Hart tournament is Mariah May's to win, especially when we found out that the stipulation was that the winner of the tournament gets a championship match at Wembley Stadium at All In August. And once we got the whole entire bracket, let's be all the way 100, we knew that this is setting up Mariah May versus Toni Storm. So I knew that she was going to beat Hikaru Shida. However, one thing I appreciate with Mariah's journey to that match at Wembley Stadium is that AEW is making her work for it. So she had to beat Saraya. And so I was like, okay, like I could see Mariah beating Saraya, cool. But then when I found out that it was going to be her versus Hikaru Shida in the semifinal, I was just like, okay, Mariah, I love you, but you got to make me believe that, you can beat Hikaru. And honestly, getting a win over Hikaru Shida and Mariah actually earned her victory against Shida in this match. I really enjoyed this. This is probably my favorite match of Rampage this week. Both women did great. I love Shida's work. She's always fantastic in the ring. But yeah, Mariah did earn her victory, and now I'm excited to see her earn that victory against Willow in the finals.
Okay. So, Alice, to you, what were your general thoughts about Shida Mariah May? And do you feel that that Mariah May can beat Hikaru Shida?
No, I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
So I agree with Mikey that if they're definitely going to have Mariah May and versus Toni Storm, like that's definitely what this is building up to, or at least that's what I believe it's building up to. I don't feel like Mariah earned this win. I don't feel like Mariah can beat Hikaru Shida. When I saw the ticket, Mariah May versus Hikaru Shida, I'm like, I love Hikaru Shida. She's amazing. She's a wonderful wrestler. She's gonna like wipe the floor with Mariah May. And I felt like during the match, I felt like Hikaru Shida was holding back and not doing her 100% best. And I did not like she did put in the work. Mariah May I've seen improvements in her wrestling. I've definitely seen she's been like doing the shows and everything, but she gets the pin on Hikaru Shida and it felt so empty. It felt like Hikaru Shida was just like, all right, here you go. It didn't feel earned to me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So moving on in the Owen Hart tournament is Mariah May. She will be facing Willow Nightingale on Wednesday Night Dynamite later this upcoming week. So really quick, really quick. Mikey, Mariah May or Willow Nightingale? Who do you think is getting it?
Oh, this is definitely Mariah. Like,
Okay.
I'm still holding on to that.
Okay, Alice.
I don't want either of them to win. I'm kind of disappointed with this matchup of Willow and Mariah. I think it'll be an interesting match. I do think they're gonna give it to Mariah. I hope I believe it. Like tonight, like the one on Rampage where I didn't believe it. So I that hope that whoever wins, which is probably going to be Mariah, I hope it just sells and I believe it because right now I'm not feeling like she earned it.
All right, so there we go. And that, mi gente, is Rampage. So we have just wrapped that up, which now brings us to Saturday Night Collision. Tonight's Collision, which, why do the colors keep flipping? What is even happening right now?
I'm changing it because each review is a certain color.
Oh, okay. And then for tonight's Collision review, let's send it over to Mikey. Mikey.
Sure, I will be leading Collision because I was crazy and I simultaneously watched this and Money in the Bank. So that was a fun experience. But okay, we're already going to fight. So because Collision opens up this week and we have this in-ring promo from MJF.
Yep.
So MJF opens up and he gives us the heel MJF promo that we are prone to at this point. You know, but the heel character and the consensus of this promo is that MJF is hurt by the AEW audience because while he was healing up at home and getting surgery and trying to get back to AEW as quickly as he can, the fandom turned on him because the day after Samoa Joe beat him at World's End, they were thanking Joe for taking the title off him. I am happy that we have a heel MJF back. I don't know if whiny heel MJF is what I want from him, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
But I'm going to come to you, El Buntador, first. MJF just torched the crowd. There's no mercy whatsoever.
Yep.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, so how did you feel about the contents of the promo, and how do you feel about the return to form kind of with MJF as a heel now?
The promo was fine. It drew the type of heat that it had to draw. The only thing that bothered me is it felt like some other heels were kind of following what MJF is doing, which by the end of the night I was like, is everyone just feel betrayed by the AEW crowd? Does or is this just kind of like, did they make copies of the same script and kind of like hand it out to everyone type thing? I had no problems with the spot. Yep. Like JVL said, Scorch Earth, MJF. It's gonna be interesting to see when he finally comes across Will Ospreay, and when he comes across Swerve, which I'm actually happy about, because it's not just the MJF revenge tour against the Undisputed Kingdom and against Samoa Joe, which when he first came back, that's what I thought we were gearing up for. So,
Alice, the same question to you. Scorch, let it all burn down. MJF is in effect. So how do we feel about this for MJF and moving onwards with the rest of 2024?
I like the heel turn. I like official heel MJF. I feel like previously it was kind of like, is he? Is he not? We don't know. And he's definitely a heel now. I think this suits him. I felt like the promo was a little long, actually. I had a little bit of difficulty kind of following his logic for like, why are we making the heel turn? Um, but we got there. Like you said, he's betrayed by the crowd. Um, which okay, be angry at the world, I get that. Um, but definitely looking forward to seeing where heel MJF takes us. To Swerve and Will Ospreay, which seems to be his first target. He's just like getting through people to get to Will.
It's gonna be interesting because we'll talk about it when we get to the main event, but I'm pretty sure we all know where our championship match for Wembley for Swerve is going to end up being. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But MJF kicks off Collision, and that is the last we see of him because then we cut backstage where I'm going to throw these together. We get a backstage promo with the conglomeration. So Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle is bummed. And then Mark Briscoe said something very poignant to me that I was like, oh, yeah, it's only been a couple of days. How did I forget? Nobody in that team won at Forbidden Door. Kyle's team did not get pinned, but he didn't win the 0-hour fatal four-way match. Mark did not win the TNT championship. And in a spectacular fashion, Orange Cassidy lost to Zack Sabre Jr., which was a really great match, by the way. But Mark Briscoe, once again, is the rah-rah speech man of this whole entire thing. They're going to, build themselves back up, dust themselves off. His can-do attitude, which is great and all for AEW. But Mark Briscoe, I need you to be appearing somewhere else, which is for a whole different review team because you're holding that championship on there. What are we doing with you? Which leads into our trios match. I'm going to be honest, this episode is brought to you by ROH Talent being cannon fodder because that is exactly how this whole night went. And I'm going to be salty about that, so bear with me. But we have the conglomeration taking on the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson. Somebody take Jack's mic away from him. He still cannot speak. I do not like this heel tactic. I will say though, my boys of the Iron Savages did what needed to be done because I love watching them. I just tired of seeing them lose. So I want to present this question, and Alice, I'm going to come to you first with this. This definitely leaned more into the comedy aspects of wrestling because we had Mark Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly with the whole entire savage sausages that the Iron Savages have. So I have feelings on this. I love the spot. I thought it was funny because we need comedy in wrestling. But I'm afraid that now these three are going to be our comedy wrestlers, which I don't have an issue with, but we know that comedy wrestling does not get written well. So, Alice, how did you feel about the match? And how do you feel about the direction we're going with this newly found trio?
I kind of liked the trio. The match was it was a match. I wasn't particularly impressed with it. Like you said, I felt like the other team was just cannon fodder um to lose. But it was showing, I guess, how the three work together, and it was nice to see Kyle Fletcher with the conglomerate, especially sorry, not Kyle Fletcher. Was I O'Reilly?
There are
O'Reilly.
too many Kyles.
Too many Kyles. Why are there so many
Too
Kyles?
many Kyles.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so it was nice to see O'Reilly like actually do something because on Rampage it was not, I didn't feel like he did a lot. So it was nice to see him actually wrestling, and it was like a better version of him in my opinion. I am a little, like you said, cautious about the comedic aspect of it. Um, but I think the three of them have like a good balance because we kind of got like the laissez-faire, I don't care Orange Cassidy, and then like the I am always at an 11, Mark Briscoe, and then we've got the did I say his name right too? And then we have Kyle O'Reilly. Um, who's like kind of balancing the two. So I think that together they work really well. I hope we can write it well too.
Question: how do we feel about this direction we're going in, and what about the match?
All right. So I thought the match was. I thought it was good for what it was. I too am bummed to see the Iron Savages being trotted out as cannon fodder. It just seems like that has kind of been their lot in life as of late. And I'm not digging. I was talking to Alice about this tonight. I'm not digging the heel Iron Savages. Definitely the dude that they have on their mic. I can't even remember his name right now. Yeah, take the mic away from him. I really enjoyed the Iron Savages when they were playing for the crowd instead of playing for the crowd but acting like they're against the crowd. Yeah, sure, Jack Jameson whiskey guy. Anyway, so that's how much I like him. I don't even want to remember his name. So anyway, I like the other two Iron Savage guys better. Anyway, I like the conglomeration. I think that this is a good place for Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe to be. I do agree that if they're gonna really start pushing them as a trio, which they really do work well as a trio, then they should get the belt off of Briscoe, which hopefully, well, I'm not gonna, because that's for the ROH. For the ROH review. That's not for here. Yeah, I like the conglomeration. I like the work that they've been doing. The promos that they have been doing have been great. Where you have Mark Briscoe just kicking everyone in the face with the positivity, and then Kyle O'Reilly's just like, I would follow that man anywhere, and then Orange Cassidy's just like, meh. So yeah, I'm digging what we're doing with the conglomeration. But let's get the belt off of Briscoe.
Right. JVL says it's after Pride Month, so they go back to being heels since Bronson came out as bi. Iron Savages losing is a hate crime in itself. But we move on from this. So I noticed the trend as we went through this whole entire night, and it kind of started here for me, that everyone is in their feelings, and someone was drinking too much of the I'm Batman juice because everyone was being dark and broody here. Yes, I said, he is TNT champ, and he is going to be coming for everyone, defending this thing, and he's going to bury people. I was just like, sir, are you okay? Is the first part. Which then we get the same thing, just in a different coat of paint with Hangman Page. He is broody. He is mad. He is he talks about how he's going to take Jay White and destroy him in the ring. Everybody needs to lay off the I'm Batman, okay? Because I was just like, hold up, wait a minute. Everybody is in their feelings tonight, and I don't know how it's going to be. It continues on later in the evening, but after we get this Hangman promo, we get into our next match where we see Timeless Tony Storm taking on the Infantry's Trish Adora. Love me some Trish. I love her. I will say, I knew Tony was not losing this match. However, I appreciated the fact that this was more back and forth than I thought it was going to be. Can I just say that Trish is very innovative when it comes to her submission moves? Like that first half of the match, the way that she was submitting Tony Storm in things I have never seen before, I'm just like, applause. This is fantastic. Give me more Trish Adora. El Buntador, Trish Adora representing the Infantry. Timeless Tony Storm is on a hot streak. How do we feel about this match? And, yeah. So how do we feel about this match?
It It was a good match. Like you said, when I saw it on the card, I knew that Trish Adora was not going to be losing to Timeless Tony Storm. But having said that, the match itself was really good. Trish had a lot of really good moves in there. Yeah, that one submission hold that she had was very Zack Sabre-esque that she pulled. It also did seem like Trish was able to ground Timeless Tony Storm tonight, which was definitely also very interesting. Whoever was working the sound booth, they needed to pay a little bit more attention when Tony took the mic. I appreciated her taking the mic and and running around going standing ovation or whatever it was she was saying, and then she came around and Trish was just like boop, and gave her the kick to the face. In the end we got Timeless Tony Storm with the win. Chin up, tits out. Watch out for the shoe.
If we love Tony. Alice, the same question. How do we feel about Tony versus Trish?
I was excited for this match. I love Trish Adora. I love watching her fight. She is fantastic. I've seen her a couple times on ROH. Every time she's in the ring, I'm just like enamored. She's fantastic. But I knew she wasn't going to win to Tony. I was just hoping that she would, be over with the crowd during this match. And I feel like for me, I thought it was successful. Like I thought Trish pulled out some really cool moves. She like El Puntador said, grounded Tony Storm. It almost made Tony fight in a different way that we don't see a lot, which I definitely appreciated. And I loved the take that Tony took on it. Like, let's make cinema, right? Like, yes, let's make an engaging, exciting piece of theater for people to watch. And I think that this match was successful in doing that. My favorite part was that actually, like, of the match was when the infantry and oh my god, is his name Luther? The butler.
Yeah, Luther. Yep.
Yeah, and Mariah May, they were coming at each other and then they just saluted each other. I was like,
Yeah.
this is fantastic. And that's like part of making the whole thing cinema. Like everybody was in on it, everybody worked together. I liked it. This was a very good match for me.
It definitely was. I enjoyed this. I love seeing Trish on my television screen every chance I get. Tony is living the best life she can. Like, I love Tony. She's also great. After this match, they air the promos from Willow and Mariah, which is leading into the finals match on Dynamite this upcoming Wednesday. Then we cut backstage to the Patriarchy. They're basically still coming from those trios championships. It's the same promo we've gotten from them the last couple of weeks for this. Poor Kip Sabian, he did not stand a chance.
I just want to say really quick, of all the heel promos tonight, this one I felt was the most original.
Okay.
I did because I felt like you said earlier, I felt like all the heels they were all dark and Batman and I'm gonna come through and I'm gonna kill everyone, but like this one, Christian was just very calculating, like he says he's the smartest guy in wrestling, and he was. I just felt like the promo just was a lot better than a lot of the other heel promos of the night.
But can you call it original when it's literally a rehash of the same thing we've been getting from Christian and the Patriarchy for the last couple of weeks, just in a different coat of paint?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. because they called out the Jay White, and they called out the Bang Bang Gang, and I really liked how Christian Cage was like, when someone mentioned the trios division, I had to Google who the champions were, because that's the type of run that you've had, whereas when we get the titles, we're going to elevate it to the status that it is. This promo for me, it got Christian and the patriarchy over on me, and I usually don't like Christian, so.
Okay, that was a thought. I'm just kidding. I will say this was probably the better of the heel promos that we got for tonight, but then again, Christian always is pretty solid on the mic. Kip Sabian got murdered off screen, which was also kind of funny. I am still waiting because we are seemingly building to patriarchy versus the Bang Bang Gang for those trios championships. But Alice, AEW, obviously we're in a holding pattern to pull the trigger on that match, because we are waiting for technically the trio's number one contender, which is House of Black, technically his number one contender. But we'll talk about their promo in a little bit. But Alice, patriarchy, we're in a holding pattern with them. Do you agree with El Butador, or how do you feel of how this promo went? And did Kip Sabian get murdered off screen?
Yes, he did. I don't like the patriarchy, but I think I'm not supposed to, right? Like, I think they do a great job. Christian Cage does a great job of making me hate him. I cannot stand him, and he's very good at that. Um, I think he's very good on the mic, because every time he speaks, my skin crawls and I can't stand it. So this promo kind of did that, but that's just because he is who he is. Um, I don't like him. I don't like hearing him talk, but again, I think that's the point. So I think overall this spot was successful.
Solid. And again, it seems that we're building up to the patriarchy versus the Bang Bang Gang in some capacity, while we're also waiting for, House of Black to get their turn when Buddy Matthews comes back. All right, so we move on. We were told that Jack Perry would be in action, but apparently this is going to be for the TNT Championship all of a sudden. So this was a thing. AEW since its inception. Let me just lay the groundwork out here. I was like, okay, so Jack Perry makes his entrance. Apparently he's keeping the goat mask, which the professor will get a kick out of. But his former, Jungle Express teammate Marco Stunt, of all people, I was like, all right then, let's see where this goes. And honestly, this was a better match than I thought it was going to be. I knew that Jack Perry wasn't losing this match, but it was nice to see Marco Stunt. Alice, as somebody who is relatively newer to the world of AEW, there's a lot of history between Jack Perry and Marco Stunt. But how did you feel about the match? And do you think it actually played a part into how this match, was overall fought out?
Um, Gosh, I don't think I even remember this match because I was so unimpressed. Um, I I don't know. Um, I don't like Dark Jungle Boy. Um, this is not for me, and that's fine. He fights. Uh, I'm mad that he got the TNT championship, but that's okay. This seems like a weird push. Um, I don't like it. That's it.
El Buntador, same question to you.
Uh, I kind of wish somewhere along the line we got, it didn't even have to be long, but just like a quick package, because Marco Stunt, he is Marco Stunt, and the team that Dark Jungle Boy and that Luchasaurus were on, that was before my time of watching AEW. So when he first came on and on the Jumbotron, I saw Luchasaurus, I was like, what? And then, as it went, I was like, oh, okay. So I guess he used to be a tag team partner with Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I kind of wish they would have filled us newer fans in on that. As far as matches go, I mean, the wrestling was good. Dark Jungle Boy was not going to lose. He was, he's the newly crowned TNT champ. But it was at the end, after I was caught up, I kind of like the story it told, where it's kind of like his past is coming back to haunt him, which I kind of hope that they, for Dark Jungle Boy's run, this is what they kind of, the path they kind of go is like his past misdeeds and matches, coming back to haunt him, so but we'll see what happens.
That we will. So Jack Perry retains the TNT championship here. We get a vignette from, Kings of the Black Throne. So Malachi Black and Brody King. Again, we're in a holding pattern to figure out what we do with the trios championships, but they call out the Bang Bang Gang. They call out the Patriarchy.
I just want to say really quick that House of Black gets a free pass at the being broody and Batman stuff, because that's how they always are. So that it was just a stereotypical House of Black promo.
I give them a free pass too, because they're one of my favorite trios, so they can do no wrong in my eyes.
So yeah. So and I'm telling you, just watch. They're gonna be coming out from underneath the ring, from through the crowd, and they're gonna be messing. They're gonna be just watch, just wait and watch.
That is very true. So then we get into our next match. Claudio Castagnoli taking on the Beast Mortos in this match. I'm happy to see more Beast Mortos on my television screen. But as soon as I saw this match, I was just like, why can't we just let people win? I'm just saying, Claudio does. The match itself was fun. I enjoyed watching it. Claudio always does really good in the ring. Beast Mortos is a freak of nature, and I love him. My biggest issue with this is that we keep putting Claudio in matches for him to win, but where are we going? What is the end destination with him racking up all these wins? Like, don't get me wrong, Claudio's a phenomenal talent and he puts in the work and I like watching him. But where are we going with him racking up these wins? He's pretty much beaten a lot of big names on this roster. Beast Mortos, what was it? He took out Johnny TV a couple of weeks ago. Like, my biggest issue with Claudio is not this match, but why does he keep racking up wins? Where are we going with all of this? Is my biggest problem with this. But before we get into those theories, Alice, I want to come to you first. Claudio versus the Beast Mortos. How did you feel about this match?
I agree with you. I like Claudio Castagnoli a lot. I think he's really fun in the ring. I think he puts a lot of work in. He's always exciting and engaging to watch. I loved the Beast. Also, this was my first time seeing him on the screen, and I was like rooting for him, but I also felt like every time I see Claudio's name, he's always winning. Like he's always winning. And I like it's fine. Like he's very good at what he does, but like Are we gonna do something? Like, is there like, are you gonna get a medal for having the most wins in AEW? Like, I'm not really sure if this pushes any story forward. Because I feel like every time I see him, he's just winning. Um, and so if we're trying to build him up as like an unbeatable person, and I don't know, it doesn't seem to have like a goal in mind. But overall, the match was entertaining. So ultimately, I guess served that purpose.
I agree. It was entertaining, but the sentiment is also there. El Buntador, how do you feel on this? The match itself, and also what we brought up with Claudio just being getting wins with no end goal in sight.
All right, so the match was entertaining. There were some spots where I'm wondering if they were botches or if they were spots that were made to look like botches. Like there was when Beast Mortos went over the rope and slammed into the cameraman, and then was holding his knee. Like was that truly a botch, or was that just like part of the match? Because then it seemed like Claudio Castagnoli was kind of like checking on the cameraman and later on and whatnot. So it was interesting. But the match was entertaining. Yes. What are we doing with Claudio Castagnoli? If we're going to keep giving him these wins, let's do something with him. Let's get, let's have him, start being contender for like the TNT Championship. If we don't want him to go after the big gold, have him go after the TNT Championship or the TV Championship or something like that. But yeah, we got to do something with him because he's got the talent and he's been winning. So well, I should say when in his singles matches he's been winning. When he's with the BCC, he has been taking he has been taking pins and whatnot. What I want to speak on is I'm yet again frustrated by commentary and just by oh, I hate to say it this way, but just the United States crowd as a whole. And again, maybe this is because I've been mainlining CMLL in my life and Lucha Libre in my life. But if this was a CMLL match, if this was a Lucha Libre mask, there would be no question that the Beast Mortos was not a man. That the Beast Mortos was a beast, was an animal, and so like having Tony Schiavone asking, I wonder how he could see out of that mask, and this, that, and the other, like, that was why even go there, like if you listen to the Lucha Libre commentators, they don't do that. They talk about the match. They talk about how hard that individual got hit, and then they might make like references to how, this person is a beast, he's the beast. He's the Beast Mortos, so I felt like that did a big disservice, because there is, as of late, such a just a meh feeling from US fans regarding spooky wrestling, and like I grew up on spooky wrestling. I mean, heck, like it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I realized that The Undertaker was an actual human being. Like I honestly thought that he was this unkillable like thing, force of nature that Paul Bearer controlled by the ear. And yes, my Undertaker, like that's the stuff that I grew up on. So nowadays it just like, why is there such an adverse reaction to spooky wrestling? Like we're watching this to be entertained and to like take ourselves out of our mundane lives. There are enough matches that are serious matches. Why not let a dude that walks in treat him like he is half man, half beast. That's it.
Well, I think the other part of it is that spooky wrestling within the last couple of years never gets treated the way that it's supposed to. We've seen this with other examples in other companies as well. House of Black, I think, does it really well, but that's because that's what they're doing. They are controlling that narrative. You know, May he rest in power. Bray Wyatt, I think, was a genius, but underneath certain, people in charge, we never got to see the full extent of where his mind was going to go. It never worked out. Like they didn't know what to do with him. You know, I think a good example, because I think they do it right, is in TNA PCO. He's literally a Frankenstein
You're
monster, and it's
right.
working out really,
Yeah.
really well. It just
Yeah.
depends on how much creative control a wrestler does and how much the commentary team is willing to buy in. The commentary team did not just fail this match, they also failed the next match, because after we got sad Daddy Magic backstage promo, I don't even want to cover it because that's, still doing the whole Daniel Garcia and Daniel, go to ROH, please. Like, because his contract's up in October, so we'll see what happens. Commentary failed this next match because they should have been more interested, because this is the returning match for Riho taking on Lady Frost. And
They were awful. They were awful for this match.
So, but Nigel, I love you, but like even you were not on the one for this one, and I'm just like, why is it that during these women's matches, AEW's commentary is just trash? Like none of these women get the respect from commentary at all. The only two people who do that within this umbrella very well is Ian and Caprice. That's because ROH commentary team is the best commentary team at me. But I like the match. I love Riho. I love Lady Frost. I think the in-ring work was solid. I'm happy that Riho is back. I want her to do so well upon her return. But again, commentary, you failed these women. You were supposed to hype up the people watching at home, especially if somebody just tuned in for the first time for Collision, and this is how you gonna treat the women's division? Nah, we can't be doing this. And what sucks is because how commentary did not care, it kind of took me out of the match a little bit. Nothing against Riho and Lady Frost, because it's not their fault. I blame commentary for this one. But Alice, commentary has always been a problem here in the AEW universe, but it seems that during the women's matches, they can't get it together. So the questions I pose is, fundamentally, how did you feel about Riho and Lady Frost going at it? And then whatever you want to say about commentary and how they were trash, you go for it.
Okay. So I like Riho and I love Lady Frost. I love her so much. So I'm always rooting for Lady Frost, but I feel like every time I see her, she loses, which is like a bummer. I love her so much. I want her to get some wins. I understand Riho just came back, and so it's important for her to get a couple wins under her belt. I just would like to see. I would like to see Lady Frost win. I thought the work, like you said, from both women was solid. I loved the moves. The two of them were very good for each other. I think this was a really well paired match. But I agree with you. The commentary was like at some points I felt like they weren't even talking about what was happening in front of them. Like I felt like I mean, you El Buntador can attest. I was like naming moves. Like I'm like I don't know what these things are, right? I'm figuring them out. I'm like naming moves, and these commentators are just talking about like I don't know what they had for lunch on Tuesday, Like, and it was frustrating because um one of my favorite things about a commentator is that they clue you into what's going on and like the story and what the moves are called and all of that. Um, because a year ago we went to a live wrestling match and the commentators aren't piped out. Like you don't hear any commentation, and I was lost without it, right? And so one of the benefits of watching from home is the the commentator like giving you like stuff to care about and talking about the moves and like amplifying, oh, that must have hurt and that. And they just were absolute trash and did not do that for this match at all. Um, I felt over like and overall too for Collision, they were just weak commentators because they not to the same degree as the women's matches, but for the other matches as well, sometimes I felt like they were talking about something that just wasn't even relevant to the show or the storytelling that was happening.
El Buntador, same question to you. How do we feel about the match and your thoughts on commentary tonight?
The match was a very good match. It was very entertaining. I too am bummed to see Lady Frost get another loss on AEW television. The I was kind of worried, especially with Riho nursing her wrist. Wasn't sure again if that was a botch or if that was a spot that they're playing up. So when she faces Serena Deeb eventually, that's going to be an issue. Is the wrist? I already made my feelings of commentary felt. I also agree for the women's match that they didn't they weren't paying attention to the women's match, which is sad because these two wrestlers of all wrestlers too are just doing such great, beautiful work. I mean, like when Lady Frost does her cartwheel into a pile driver maneuver, that was beautiful. When Riho flies off the top turnbuckle, that was beautiful. So yeah, they just do better commentary. Do better.
Right. Speaking of doing better, I need AEW Creative to do better because as soon as this match was over with Riho picking up the win, AEW Creative fumbled the ball because we're still fighting with Top Flight and Action Andretti and Shane Taylor Promotions. I was just like, I thought we squashed this feud, a couple weeks ago. Apparently not. So whoever y'all fail at that, but literally on Rampage next week, we're gonna get the blow off match. I was like, I thought the blow off match already happened, but you know what? Whatever, it's fine, whatever. Action, I love you in the ring. I really, really do. But sir, you said the wrong town. You are not in this town. We're talking about you're gonna be in that town next. I just feel so bad for everyone involved. Shane Taylor Promotions is actually really great. I love that Lee Moriarty is going to get his rematch against Wheeler for the ROH Pure Championship, probably at Death Before Dishonor. I thought we were done with this feud. Why do we keep bringing it back? Breathe. I'm just frustrated right now because we keep bringing back up feuds. And then, I was like, oh, we're going to continue with it. Then a couple weeks happen. We don't see them on television. And then randomly it was like, ma'am, sir, non-binary folks in the back for booking. What is happening? I thought we were finished with this feud. Does anyone have any additional feelings on any of this? Anybody can go into any order, but I was just like, I was fed up with this feud already. I was like, again?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so moving on. They replay the promo that we got on Rampage that Samoa Joe is going to beat the bricks off of Chris Jericho. So next week on Dynamite, we're getting a Stampede Street Fight, whatever that means. I was like, a stadium stampede? Because that's a whole different match type. But I swear, if Samoa Joe loses that match, I riot. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Jericho's probably going to win, but, I hope that's not the case. Which then leads us into our main event. And by default, which is sad to say, this was actually my favorite match of the whole evening. And this was the men's Owen Hart Foundation Tournament semifinal, where we have Hangman Adam Page taking on Switchblade Jay White. I really, really enjoyed this match. I was like, so Mox is not here, so Hangman has to bleed. Got it. Like, if it's not Moxley, it's Hangman who's going to bleed in this match. I thought, and this is just a personal thing, I really enjoyed this match. Jay White's fantastic. I wish we utilized him better in AEW. I'm happy to see Hangers back. I love Hangman Page. I loved the match until we got to the end of it. Only because it came out of left field. So ref bump happened. I was like, okay, cool. Like shenanigans. This makes a lot of sense. So how are we going to protect Jay White while also letting Hangman win? Jeff Jarrett comes out. I was like, okay, cool. Like, because Jeff actually cares about the memory of Owen Hart. Like, he has a personal connection with Owen Hart and the Owen Hart Foundation. I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is fantastic. And then Christian stuck his ugly nose into this too. I was like, oh, damn it. I was like, all right, well, everybody's getting involved now. There's going to be lots of hands in the pot now. We're continuing to build this feud up with the patriarchy and Jay White. Fine. Christian's a menace. Hangman chokes him out with the bell. I was like, oh, Hangers, what are we doing? Again, I really thought this was a phenomenal wrestling match until shenanigans happened, and I felt like there was one too many shenanigans for me. I feel like Christian didn't need to be there. I get we're building up to I know we're building up to the Trios championship match between the patriarchy and the Bang Bang Gang, but I just want Jay White to win, you guys. Like, can we have nice things for Jay White? That's all I'm asking for. But Alice, how do we feel about the match and just Jeff Jarrett and Christian's involvement in this whole entire finish?
Generally, I disagree with you. So I liked this match. I thought it was slow to begin. It did get much more exciting once Adam Page, the Hangman started bleeding. Uh, and then I liked the end. I liked the ending. I liked how many shenanigans there were. I don't like Jay White. I don't find him interesting at all. Don't like him. Like, I'm like, what are you doing laying on the floor? Like, help me. Oh my God. Get up and fight. So I do get a little tired of him. Uh, so I liked that we had interference to on both ends. And as much as I don't like Christian Cage, I loved that he came. And maybe it's just because it happened to Jay White that I liked this. Right? We had Christian Cage come in, spear Jay White, and like disappear. Like, I liked that. But yeah, I think I agree. I think this was my favorite match. Ended up being my favorite match of the night. I thought this was a well-earned main event. And I am looking forward to seeing the Hangman versus I get his name wrong all the time.
Bryan
Brian
Danielson.
Danielson.
The
There
clam
we go.
digger.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
I'm looking forward to that. I think that will be really exciting to watch.
Buntado, same question to you. Overall match and Jeff Jarrett and Christian's involvement.
The overall match was good. It was entertaining. I have to think a little bit to see if this is my match of the night. It did have a slow start. To be honest, I had excused myself so that I could braid my my beard, and I heard Alice screaming at the TV while I was in the bathroom, saying, "What are we doing?" So it didn't seem like I missed a lot. Towards the middle and the end, that's when it really started heating up. Jay White, he is such a great seller, man. The way he flops and then the way he like spits out saliva, man, it was great. I don't think, and Alice and I were talking about this, I don't think that Hangman meant to cut himself open. Yet, somehow going over Barry Barricade, he split himself open. So here we are. It just like lends to that whole craziness thing that he has going on right now. I disagree as well. I liked the ending. I thought it was cool that Jeff Jarrett came out, when Hangman was trying to use the belt and he took the belt away, and he was like, no, not in this tournament, and then of course, the ref came out and shooed Jeff Jarrett away. And if Jay White was going to lose, because I wanted Jay White to win, I understand that we're gearing up towards Hangman versus Swerve part 4. And not say every time that they've wrestled, it's always been a phenomenal match, but having said that, I would really wanted Jay White to win, and if he was going to lose, this was the way for him to do it. Where Christian Cage, who's already like I said, beginning of the night, he was calling out the Bang Bang Gang, and he was saying how, Jay White, this tournament was your outs, so you wouldn't have to, wrestle. We knew that he was gonna futz around with Jay White and the Bang Bang Gang, and this was kudos to Christian. Again, like, I don't normally like Christian, but in this situation, maybe it's because it's heel versus heel, but it was, if Jay White was going to lose, this was the way that I'm okay with him losing this way. So that's that.
Well, that brings us to the end of Rampage and Collision this week. So this was a jam-packed Friday and Saturday, and it's going to continue to do so. Thankfully, we have a break until our next AEW pay-per-view, and right now it seems that we're building towards Blood and Guts, which is in 2 weeks, might I add you. So I'm just putting it out there. Blood and Guts is happening in 2 weeks. That I'm very interested to see who ends up being the final member for the Elite, and then who ends up being the final member for Team AEW. No shade. I love Mark Briscoe, but it's like, these are the players that, okay, sure, fine, I guess. But I guess if I had to combine Rampage and Collision, I think collectively as a package, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10 for me. I mean, we are just coming off of Forbidden Door. So again, we're laying the groundwork for not only Blood and Guts, but for All In August. However, it's the same story every time we finish a pay-per-view. Now that we're done with the pay-per-view, we're literally always starting at ground zero again. I was like, I need some consistency, you guys. Even Beach Break was disappointing on Dynamite this week. I was just like, fine, we're at ground zero again. I can't do this anymore. But collectively, I give it a 6 out of 10. Matches were ranged from great to decent to okay. But we got to start building stories, because we're kind of like, lots of people are lost in the shuffle for me. I'm just like, we need some stories, you guys. We can't keep starting at ground zero all the time. Alice, I'm going to come to you. Collectively, how'd you rate Rampage and Collision as a package?
Collectively, I think, do we do half scores or no?
I mean, I do half, you do half. El Buntador shames me because I do half. You can't have
How can you leave
empanada.
half an empanada on the plate? That's just me. I'm fat.
I'm
Like,
doing.
you cannot infringe on my rights.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. So that's for me collectively. I do agree. I like, for me, Forbidden Door was so much fun. And I was looking forward to where we're going, but I feel like there's like kind of flubbing happening here. We're like floundering for where to go to build to the next thing. So I think, like you said, we're starting from ground zero. It's a little rough right now. I think AEW's got like the short storytelling really well, but I think we need some longer lines of storytelling to help with this floundering in between pay-per-views. But yeah.
And then finally, El Buntador, same question.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 as well. Not so much. Not so much the matches. The matches were fine. But the storytelling. I will adjust my score dependent on this upcoming week, how some of these, if they continue with some and build with some of these stories, or if they just kind of like let them go to the wayside for other stories. The big thing that bothered me this week was just the announcing.
Commentary needs to step their game up, or just let Ian Caprice do all the commentary. Sarah, seriously, like,
Right?
oh my
Right.
goodness. You know what? I don't know how she would do, but let Renee be part of the commentary team once in a while too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but like, if we're gonna use somebody, like, I wouldn't mind Miss Beth Phoenix. She was the NXT commentator for a while when she was in NXT and WWE. Beth Phoenix would also be great. You literally have her husband as a wrestler on your roster. Let's
Right.
utilize some folks. Shoot, I'll take Jeff Jarrett. Seriously, it's Jeff
Yeah.
Jarrett on commentary. Just we need Nigel is usually pretty good on commentary, but this week was not it.
He was off this week.
It's crazy.
Except when he was talking about the clam digger.
But yeah, oh, that's the other thing too. We're getting Hangman and Danielson in the finals next week, so that
Yep.
should be interesting. I think that match will be great. But that's gonna be it for us here at the Double Trouble review of AEW Rampage and Collision. We will be back with another Double Trouble review next week, and if I remember correctly, yeah, we're on our way over to Blood and Guts, and then it is off to Wembley for All In. So, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and as always, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you next week for another review. But until then, sayonara, adios, and
Billy Stark's outro.
Bleh.